The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101 with host Susan Bartelstone. We're so happy you've joined us this weekend. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that'll help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's the host of Crime Prevention 101, Susan Bartelstone.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Crime Prevention 101, the personal safety radio show with an optimistic perspective on a sober subject. And I'm your host, Susan Bartelstone, sitting here in the ever-exciting New York City, which I refer to as the scene of the crime, so to speak. And as always, it is my honor and privilege and pleasure to be here with you once again and spend the next hour with you helping you keep yourself safe. Now, I have a question to ask you. What would a city without sexual violence look like? Now, this very question was asked of 40 youngsters between the ages of 14 and 21 in New York City after a 3-year study conducted by the New York City Alliance Against Rape and Sexual Assault revealed that sexual and dating violence was shockingly prevalent among this age group. Now, the kids were asked to give their answer to this very poignant question by taking photographs and developing narratives with prevention strategies on how to accomplish this goal. This project is called From Their Own Eyes, and coming up later on in the show, you're going to be hearing from 3 of the kids who took part in this extraordinary photo voice project, which is how it's referred to, and you're going to hear from their own perspective what a city without violence looks like. Now, as I pondered this question, that's one of the reasons I particularly wanted to do the show about this. I was thinking personally, when I thought about it, because I have spent almost my entire adult life helping people keep themselves safe and trying to bring about a society without violence. And I'll admit it. I can't always envision this anymore. It's just been such a long struggle and such a long fight. But on the other hand, I don't really see I have any choice. I'm going to be spending the rest of my life trying to bring this about. But I'm so glad that there are young people out there who can envision this. Because as long as someone can see it, it can be achieved. And I feel, in a way, like I'm passing the torch down to the next generation. And I just can't wait to hear what these kids say about a city without violence. And I want to ask you that if you've lost your innocence to violence, or you know someone who has, today's show is going to be a particularly important one to listen to. So please send out a text message about us to someone you think might benefit. Send an IM. Give out a tweet if you're on Twitter, anything. We just want them to listen in to hear what a city without violence would be like to a child, to a youngster. Now, I'm really pleased to introduce my first guest on the show today. Her name is Harriet Lessel, and she's the executive director of the New York City Alliance Against Rape and Sexual Assault, the organization that sponsored this project. And I have been a volunteer at the Alliance for more than 5 years now, and I've worked with Harriet many times over the years, and I just have so much respect for what she's done and what she's accomplished. Let me just tell you a little bit about her. Her appointment to the Alliance caps a 30-year career in the sexual assault field, including serving as the director of a hospital-based rape crisis and domestic violence program. She also served as a counselor. She's been an advocate, testifying many times before the state legislature in New York. She's been a community organizer, and the list just goes on and on and on. If anyone knows their way around this field, it is Harriet. She's got a master's in social work from the prestigious Columbia University, and she's a licensed clinical social worker. Harriet, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan.
It's just such a pleasure.
Yeah, well, same here. Thank you so much for having me on and the kids later.
Oh, it's going to be it's going to be tremendous to hear about the work. And in fact, let's talk a little bit about the New York City Alliance Against Rape and Sexual Assault. Tell my audience what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Alliance was started 10 years ago by the city's rape crisis programs, who recognized the need for a citywide voice on sexual violence issues to conduct the kind of advocacy, education, research, and community organizing that they're unable to do because they're so busy. I mean, they do it anyway, but they're so busy providing services to survivors that they really saw the need to have an agency that would provide leadership. And so we do that in a number of ways.
And just talk a little bit about some of the projects and some of the studies and the kind of groups that are involved in the Alliance.
Sure. Look, we work with anyone who is interested in either ensuring that survivors get the best help that they can or people interested in ending sexual violence, so that we have different kinds of projects. We have a whole health and forensic services division, and that division works on ensuring access to best care to victims. We were able to get the New York City Emergency Medical Services to bring rape victims to the specialized centers, hospital centers in New York City that provide services to rape victims, and to try to make sure that there's enough of those centers. We ensure that we facilitate conversations between rape crisis programs and healthcare institutions, law enforcement and prosecutors, so that the survivor can, ensure that they have the best care. And we have a whole training program for healthcare professionals called Safety. On the other side, like our youth project came out of a research study that we conducted that found that there was very high rates of sexual violence among young people. And so as a result of that, one of the things that we developed was a youth action council that helped to develop this photo voice project so that we can get the information out. I think that when we have, they're right in the middle now of, working with other youth to take these photos, that we're going to have a really powerful way to get this message out to other young people, to parents, to school officials, to elected officials, folks that need to know. We also have a project called Arise, Action Research to Incite Social Empowerment, that is working with immigrant-serving community-based organizations to help get them involved. I mean, they already are involved, but working together to both improve services to victims and to prevent sexual violence in those communities. And we have our Project Envision, which is our newest project to really start mobilizing communities to address sexual violence and to increase the conversation about what a world without sexual violence would look like. I could keep talking, but, I figured.
I know you could. And I want to ask you a few more questions about Project Envision, but before we do, I have to mention that for a number of years, I was involved in something that the Alliance did every year, April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month. You guys had an event called Say So, which is very, very dear to my heart. And we used to do this project 24 hours because rape and sexual assault occurs 24 hours a day. And we would sit in these various parks that we did the program for 24 hours and talk and present testimony, and people would come and incredibly talented people would come and sing and do performance art. And I'll just never forget one particular year was absolutely the coldest April it has ever been, ever, on record.
Yeah.
And I sat there all night long in that with such a dedicated group of volunteers, and it was just an amazing experience. And I still think about it from time to time. So this was another project that the Alliance did sponsor.
I'm really glad you brought up about Say So. You know, what we decided to do this year, you're right, we used to bring people to Say So, right? We would have it in this, what we hoped was a central location in Manhattan and, you know, want to bring a lot of people. But we realized that that there were a lot of people that were never going to get there. So we decided to bring Say So to the people. So that this year in July, we worked with a group in Staten Island that had their own Say So last July, and I think are planning another one, I think, for the fall. And we're working with a group in Western Queens who's going to be putting on a Say So in June, so that the word, and, you know, Say So stands for Sexual Assault Yearly Speak Out. We will be going to the different corners of the 5 boroughs to get people to really start thinking about and speaking out about sexual violence. And then my hope is that one day we can bring it back to the park with all of the groups that had been sponsoring it, and it will be an even bigger and better event.
And you know what I particularly like about that too, Harriet, because just the way that the program was originally 24 hours because rape and sexual assault occurs 24 hours a day. Well, it doesn't just occur in April. It occurs all throughout the year.
Yes, it does.
And by limiting the awareness of sexual assault only to April, I just always felt that while I appreciated the opportunity for education that it provided, it wasn't enough. And I love the idea of going out into the different areas of the city, because a lot of people, if you've never been to New York City, it's not just Manhattan. There are actually 5 components to New York City in different boroughs. And a lot of times they don't get the major programming and the major concentration there. So the Alliance has taken this sexual assault awareness idea out into the burbs, and I think that's just a wonderful thing. And, you know, one of the reasons that I like to focus on a program like the Alliance is because I want people that listen here to take these ideas back into their own communities. You know, we're a national and international audience, and a lot of the programs that the Alliance has done are very visionary and really bear replication. So, say that the idea of taking Say So into the burbs and into the city, I think, is a terrific idea.
And, you know, we actually eventually will have a toolkit available because, you know, one of the ways we're doing this is that we want to build the capacity of other organizations to do this so that, as you say, it isn't just once a year in one place, that we need to see this all over the place. And having a toolkit for people so that, like, this is how you do it, I think will help. And so at some point that will be available so that if people visit our website on a regular basis, they can see when it's up. And our website for folks is svfreenyc.org, SV standing for sexual violence. So svfreenyc.org. It's actually a new URL name that we changed to reflect a more positive image of the work that we're doing.
We're going to give that out again several times during the program, and we'll be right back with more Crime Prevention 101 after this short pause. And my fantastic guests coming up are going to give us all a vision of a city without sexual violence. So fasten your seatbelts. Don't touch that mouse.
News, opinion, your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a survivor of mannequinism. Mannequinism is basically when you turn into a hard plastic shell. They say it's from not being politically active. For me, it started when I didn't register to vote, and then I stopped volunteering, and before I knew it, I wasn't doing anything. And that's when I found a small patch of plastic on my right shoulder.
Protect yourself from mannequinism. Log on to fightmannequinism.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Interstate Sportsman Talk radio show brings two well-known outdoorsmen to the Voice America Network with hunting and fishing info news, talking about everything from new sporting gear, places to hunt and fish, and getting more from your recreation time. Join hosts Brock Ray and Don Kirk Friday mornings at 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 Eastern, for the Interstate Sportsman on the Voice America channel.
Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Okay, I don't want anyone to get frightened. I don't intend to sing. This is just my way of saying welcome back to Crime Prevention 101. And that, of course, was part of the lyrics from the John Lennon song Imagine. And I just thought it was a perfect fit because my guest today is Harriet Lessel from the New York City Alliance Against Rape and Sexual Assault. And we've been talking about what a city without sexual violence would look like. And don't forget to send out a tweet about us if you're on Twitter, because there is plenty of show left for people to turn in on. And go on to your Facebook accounts, send out the word there, and don't forget to check my Facebook page. I've got a lot of crime prevention information on there, and I just love to make new friends. And also, at this point in the show, I always say, and I like to speak especially to people who might already be survivors of any kind of crime or violence or anything that we're talking about today. Please understand that nothing that happened to you was your fault. Even if you think that you used bad judgment in a situation and left yourself vulnerable, that is never an excuse for a crime or for violence. And there is no right or wrong response. If you are alive, you responded correctly. And please, please, please call yourself a survivor and not a victim. And understand that with the proper help, both traditional and non-traditional, you can put what happened into perspective and get on with your life. And don't forget to check in the archives of the Crime Prevention 101 shows, because I've done a lot of shows on alternative methods for healing, non-traditional methods for healing. They're right there in the archives. You can just plug in that as a search word in the right on the Voice America website, and you'll get all those shows. Harriet, welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about Project Envision and From Their Own Eyes and how that project came about. The two are connected, am I correct?
Well, they're connected in that we want more people to start thinking and talking about what a world without sexual violence would look like. So, through our own eyes, we are having youth, comment. And, of course, we had our research as sort of the basis for that, but we wanted youth to give us a better idea, from their viewpoint, what it might look like for sexual violence to not exist in their world. And Project Envision is really about working with communities and everyone in that community. But obviously, I think we're targeting adults first to really start mobilizing to address sexual violence in their community.
And Project, from their own eyes, this 3-year study. This is what gave you the idea to bring that around?
Yeah. Well, the study was a quantitative study. We surveyed 1,400 young people in 4 public schools in New York City. It was a city council-funded study, and the City Department of Education, allowed us, because there were supportive principals who wanted us to come in, who understood that this was an issue, so that we were able to get this information. But you really want that information to be tempered by what's called qualitative information, but is really having the people who you study really talk about what it is like in their own lives, so that you can really understand what this quantitative information means. And so we started what we call our Youth Action Council, YAC, and after working with them for a while, first they helped us develop the Teen Health Map, which is a youth-friendly resource that's a foldable little pocket map that just fits, right in their pocket, that can be ordered. It's a subway map on one side and youth-friendly resources after a sexual assault on the other. And again, that's available. People can find out more about ordering that through our website. They helped us develop that. That actually was sort of a part of the study to give anyone who was taking the study information about services or resources. And then we really started talking with them about, what are the norms that support sexual violence? So why is it that there was such high rates of sexual violence? And what do you see as some of the ways that the world would be different if sexual violence didn't exist? And we just thought, and they were really helpful in figuring this out, that doing this in an alternative message, that words are not the only way to convey a message, and that pictures were going to be very powerful. So that teaching them, about using a camera for that, and then having them work with other youth on it was going to be a very powerful message.
And I think that's particularly important because the initial group of 7, I believe you said, trained others to take the photographs and come up with their ideas about how they can accomplish this city without sexual violence. And these kids came from different schools and youth groups
all over the city.
Correct?
All over the city. It really was a leadership development program because it's not only talking about, how sexual violence exists, but it was helping them talk to other youth, lead groups, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harriet, I think we have our first caller, who one of the kids that participated in this project.
Great.
So can we have the caller, please?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Mafoog Hossain.
Hi. How do you pronounce your name?
Mafoog.
Mafoog?
Yeah.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101, Mafoog. I'm so thankful that you're joining us today. Can I ask you a few questions about your participation
go right ahead.
From Their Own Eyes?
And also, hi, Mafoog, it's Harriet.
Hi, Harriet. How are you?
All right, yourself?
I'm great.
Good.
Now, Mafoog, how old are you, first of all?
17, turning 18 next month.
Ooh.
All right. And how did you get involved with From Their Own Eyes program?
You mean the Youth Action Council, how did I get involved?
You were part of the Youth Action Council?
Yes, ma'am. And I got a hold of this through school. Actually, one of my friends were applying to the Youth Action Council, and I saw the pamphlet, and I was interested in how to help with the prevention of sexual and dating violence, because it's a big problem in the United States. It's very prevalent, and I wanted to be a part of the prevention plans.
Tell me about some of the pictures that you took. What did you take that would identify? You were supposed to identify what you thought was a root cause of dating and sexual violence. What did you take pictures of?
One that I always remember off the top of my head was of a strip club van parked outside of a recreational center, which showed the exposure kids have to things such as strip clubs, how close it is to them, where they're supposed to be avoiding stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
And then a photographer helped and came to our program to help us with our pictures. Her name was Stacy Joy, and she helped us write a vignette, a short story about our pictures, which helped the picture become more stronger to the public eye.
Excellent. And what did you say about that picture? Do you remember?
Let's see. I wrote something along the lines as this picture shows how kids who are trying to have a better future are trying to get away from stuff like sex and drugs. It's going to be very hard for them to adjust because they have strip club vans parked outside of their recreational centers, and ways to prevent it is having those cars parked elsewhere or not even close to the recreational centers.
Yeah, anywhere where kids aren't. I actually think
exactly.
Isn't there some kind of a legislation? I know they can't be near schools.
No.
But perhaps we need to, look into more, tightening up some of those regulations.
Mm-hmm.
How many pictures did you take all together?
We actually took 10 altogether. We did 5 on prevention and 5 on root causes.
Okay.
And each of them followed with a vignette, so it took us some time to get a hold of all of them.
That's wonderful. Now, I think do you have somebody else there that was going to come on and talk about their pictures?
No, not at the moment.
Not at the moment?
Everyone's facilitating with other groups. I just managed to make some time out right now.
Oh, that's great. And explain where you're at. You're at a large meeting today about this project. What are you guys doing at this today?
Actually, we are working with 4 youth groups: Los Jóvenes from Voice Latinas in Queens, Satellite Academy from the Lower East Side, South Bronx Job Corps, and Young Women of Color HIV/AIDS Coalition in Brooklyn. And along with us, the Youth Action Council, we are trying to use the same activities that they use with us, use the same notion of using pictures to help tell a story and how to use it for prevention. We're teaching them the same way our mentors taught us, and how to get the word around about prevention and how to do it.
So how many people do you want to eventually recruit to take the pictures and everything?
Well, there's about 35 kids in the whole program, so every 2 members of the Youth Action Council got 12 students that they're working with, so each of them are taking 5 pictures of their own. So that's a total of 60 pictures for root causes.
Wow.
That's great.
Now, we're coming up on a short pause. Will you stay with me? Because I want to hear some more about the pictures and what the kids took. So, Mafang, will you stay with me? Stay on with me for a little bit. And you out there, too, stay with me through this brief pause. We're going to hear more from their own eyes and some of the pictures when we'll be right back.
News, opinion,
Can you hear me?
Your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
What's it like?
What's it like?
It's lonely.
It's really lonely.
I miss my brother.
I miss my brother.
I'm surrounded by other people, but it's not the same.
I've got other people around me, but it's not the same.
It's pretty scary, but I don't let it rattle me.
It's pretty scary around here, but I don't let it rattle me.
You always have to watch your back.
There's no one to watch my back.
I spend my whole day worried who's out to get me.
I'm always wondering who's out to get me.
But I can take care of myself.
But I can take care of myself.
No matter what, I'll keep my head up.
No matter what, I'll keep my head up.
It's not like I have a choice.
It's not like I have a choice.
This'll all be over in 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days.
This'll all be over in 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days.
Go to jail for a gun crime and your family serves a sentence with you. Something to think about before committing a gun crime. Gun crimes hit home. This message brought to you by Project Safe Neighborhoods and the Ad Council.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, I'm talking with Harriet Lessel, who's the director of the New York City Alliance Against Rape and Sexual Assault. And this is the organization that is responsible for, From Their Own Eyes, the Photo Voice project that we've been talking about, and what kids feel of their vision for a city without violence. Just a couple of items that I wanted to mention. Most people probably didn't know, but May 12th through 17th was National Police Week. And if you didn't know and you get a chance to thank some of the police officers for the great work that they're doing in helping to stop sexual assault and so forth, give them a thanks. I always like to. I also want to mention that my new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime, is now available. And you can get more information about this by going to www.20secondresponse.com. And we were talking with, also I want to mention again the website for the New York City Alliance, svfree.org. That's S like sugar, V like Victor, free.org.
Oh, free NYC. svfreenyc.org.
NYC.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
Because that's new. This is your new
it's a new URL name, yes.
New URL name, great. Harriet, we were talking with Mafung. I hope I pronounced that right.
Mafug.
Yeah.
Mafug.
Yeah.
Mafug. We were talking about some of the pictures that you took when you thought about what a city without violence would be. Tell me a little bit about some of the other pictures that are going to be in this exhibit.
Well, some of my students that I'm working with, that I'm facilitating, they took amazing pictures. There was this one girl, her name's Yesenia. She took a picture of a girl with cuts on her arm, and it's in black and white, and the nail polish is all black, so you get a feeling of control. She was controlled, abused. she doesn't want to live anymore because she's been sexually abused. And the picture just said so much about the situation she went through. And it almost brought tears to some of the kids' eyes. It was like so powerful, just that one picture alone.
I bet.
Yeah. And then there was this other picture by one of my students, Ramon. He took a picture of a girl looking forward into a blank park, an empty park, with her finger in her mouth, and her hair is all a mess, and she's just looking straight like she's lost. So it's like one of those things where you just look and think about what she's going through and how her life is going right now.
It sounds amazing. Just amazing. The age range for the kids it's 14 through 21, was it?
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
14 to 21. Yeah, it just saddens me, that these are the images that they have to see.
Yeah.
But hopefully it will be, something to make people think about why it's important to end sexual violence, right? We don't want to see this kind of pain. We don't want people to be lost because of this.
And the sad thing is, it's everywhere. When we look across the street, we'll see an Armani Exchange ad with a girl on top of a guy. And kids use that as their influence to do other things because they saw it in society.
It's good that they recognize that this can lead to dating violence, that this can be a cause for it. So many people keep saying, it's just advertising. And no, it really sinks in there. That message definitely sinks in. What were some of the strategies as the narratives? What were some of the things that the kids said could be done to make a difference with this?
Well, we brought up many solutions. We thought about parent to student seminars. Like we get a community-wide thing where we get the parents to come and we discuss certain topics such as sexual and dating violence and what the parents can actually do to prevent their kids from either being a victim or help prevent these acts. And another thing we came up with was school-wide activities, more school-based days where the teachers facilitate workshops where students build their awareness of sexual and dating violence. And we want more groups such as the Youth Action Council and the Satellite Academy and South Bronx Job Corps to come up with programs such as these to help kids with the awareness process.
The Youth Action Council is a really special project as part of the Alliance. I've always been so impressed with the work that they do. The safety card, the safety map that they came up with, I think it's a terrific idea.
Yeah, and I. They have been quite amazing. Mahfouz's been with us, for almost a year, right?
2 years.
2 years. Oh, wow. And really has done amazing work.
It's actually an honor to work with people such as Harriet, Monica, Megan, Laura, because they all help us go the right direction to do what we need to do.
Oh, thanks. That's so nice of you to say.
That's what it's about. Now, the first exhibit you were telling me is going to be taking place the end of June. Now, will you be involved with that?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure of the specifics yet, but more than likely I will be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, we really want, participants from the Youth Action Council to be there and talk about their experiences and what they've done. I think that's going to make the show really special.
Oh, I think that would be imperative, really, because you're going to have these powerful photographs and the narratives, and to have them there talking about it and what they think can be done to really change this around, I think is just exceptional. So
absolutely.
And Harriet, you told me you're going to kind of travel around with it. You're going to take it around. There's going to be many showings of this.
Well, that's our hope. I mean, if we get the funding that we need, we feel that this is going to be an incredibly powerful message, and we want to bring it around. We want to bring it around to different boroughs. We want, as Mafug said, we want parents to see it, and students, and teachers, and policymakers, and elected officials, so that, people can commit to putting into place all the things that we need to actually start ending sexual violence in young people.
And I really love Mafug's suggestion about having these discussions with the parents and having these programs in the school. And I think I'd love to see these pictures hanging in the various schools. Mm-hmm. Copies of these pictures or something like that with the narratives, because here they are, as we were saying, you look up and you see this ad with a woman lying on top of a man. So that's one picture. Well, you're going to have the other picture, the woman with the cuts, the woman with the bruises, the woman with the blank stare. Get those hanging up too, where everyone can see them, and maybe people will start making the connection somewhere along the line. I just think that's exceptional. Has anything like that been considered? Getting these pictures out there, like in posters and things. I guess, Harriet, that would be your...
Yeah. You know what? I think there's so much that we can do with this. We've just started. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see the pictures. As I said, they're just, finishing up, right, for this year. And then I think there's going to be so many ways that we can get this message out.
Can I just add one thing real quick?
Yeah,
there was one suggestion that came up in our group about murals. We have so many talented graffiti artists out there that are getting in trouble for vandalism and whatnot. So we thought about trying to work with them and make a mural that stands out and gets us aware of what's going on. Like, put out stuff like be safe. Don't, put out stats or something out there. Put witty comments on a mural saying to make us aware of what's going on. Mm-hmm. So, and then it kills two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and anti-sexual violence messages as well. Yeah.
And having them all over. It's a really good idea.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. That's part of what's coming out of what you're doing today. You're coming up with these different strategies that you can kind of take to spread this message.
This came up about an hour and a half ago, this idea.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think it's a great idea. I really do. Let's get the positive pictures out there so you can look at that instead of only seeing the kind of damaging ones that are so plentiful around there.
Right, or the alternative messages. Mafug mentioned, all the media attention, how there's so many messages that really, convey violence, that convey sexual violence, and that, what YAC is doing and what the students that they're working with are doing, that all of us, we have to create that alternative message about what is it that we would like to see so that it's not just those negative media messages. We're creating the positive ones.
Well, Harriet and Mafug, thank you so much for being on the show with me today and sharing this amazing and hopeful vision of a city without sexual violence. You can get more information about this project from their own eyes and about the other work that the New York City Alliance is doing from svnyc.org. That's S like sugar, V like Victor, NYC.org.
It's actually svfreeNYC.org.
God, I'll get it right. svfreeNYC.org.
Correct.
All right. We'll be right back after this quick pause, and I have an awesome word poem coming up written by a truly visionary 12-year-old girl, so hang in there with me.
Talk. That's all we do is talk.
Yeah!
If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart would stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
If you hear a dog barking or an angel singing, then you know that you are listening to Waking Up in America. Heard every Wednesday at 3 Pacific Time, Valerie Kirkard and all of her friends will bring you powerful and humorous discussions that raise thoughts and give you insight on how to live your life to its fullest potential. Adventure is always a must on Waking Up in America with Valerie Kirkard every Wednesday at 3 Pacific.
Stimulating talk
gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back. And yes, I'm your host, Susan Bartelstone. And I just wanted to remind you, in case you missed any of this show, and this just moved me so much to think of these kids going around and looking at those images of a woman battered and bruised and a desolate area and an ad that's telling them one thing when they know that it will lead to dating violence and sexual violence. If you missed any part of this show and you want to catch up with it or you want someone else to hear it, you can go to my website, SusanBartelstone.com, and it will be archived there, so you'll be able to catch it. And again, I want to give the correct, because I've mangled that email address so many times. If you want to find out more about the New York City Alliance and this program from their own eyes, it's svfreenyc.org. All right, now when I was doing my research for this show, I really struggled, not just with what a city without violence would look like, but with a world without violence, any kind of violence, not just sexual violence, and what that world would look like, especially from a child's perspective. And I found a website that evidently ran a War is Over contest. And I say that because their URL is www.instantkarma.com/warisovercontest. And they had a whole bunch of poems from kids, and it's kind of word poems, from kids all over the country about what a world without violence would look like. And this particular one just absolutely blew me away. It was written by a 12-year-old girl. Her name is Erin Mariah Brothers. She's from the Helen Tyson Middle School in Springdale, Arkansas. And I thought reading it would be a really good way to kind of close out the show today. Here's what Erin Mariah Brothers said. Imagine a world without human destruction. Imagine a world in which people love you no matter what your race is, no matter your gender, religion, or sexual orientation. Imagine a world in which we solve our differences with our hearts instead of our fists. Where is this world? Look around you and imagine our schools are safe because we listen to the children. In this place, we turn away from violence. We persevere towards our goals of being nonviolent people. How? In our everyday lives, we work at being at peace with ourselves. We use the language of caring instead of the language of hate. We cry, laugh, and express our confusion instead of keeping it bottled up inside us. We write, sing, and talk, and no one stands in judgment of the expressions. We apologize when we're wrong. We imagine a peaceful world every day, and that makes us behave more peacefully. Now we must work to make our imaginations real. We can have a perfect world yet. Well, Aaron, Mariah, brothers, I believe with that kind of intensity, yes, we can. And I would love to hear your thoughts about a city or a world without violence. If you care to comment on this topic, please email me, solutions@fightsafe.com, and I will read them on the show, and I will post them on my Facebook account and Twitter them and everything else any way I can to get this word out for you. Now, I just want to take this opportunity again to go over a few ways to use my brand spanking new website, SusanBartelstone.com, because there's a lot of good stuff there for you. First of all, you can listen to, as I've said, share or download any of the previous shows that I've done right from my website. So if there's a show that you missed or a show you really want somebody else to hear, like this one, like one of my shows on healing, and I've done maybe 9 shows on alternative methods of healing. I've done a number of shows on domestic violence and stalking. You can just email that show with just a click of the mouse, and you can send it out. Secondly, of course, my website has lots of safety tips and referrals and resources, and it's got information about the various topics that I've talked about on the air. And I also have links to all my wonderful guests. So you can go to their websites, and you can find out more information about them and the topic that we were talking about. There's also a link to the show on iTunes. Yes, we are on iTunes. So you don't have to be at your computer to hear me. You can carry me with you and listen at your convenience. So I've got my link to iTunes right there. There's even a page where you can ask me for help with any. If you've got a safety concern, you've got something that's troubling you, you can ask me. You can find out information about my new book. You can find out information about the forum that I host on womansavers.com. It's an amazing website. You have to check that out. Also, right through my website, you can send me comments about this show. You can suggest topics for future shows. You can ask questions about anything that you heard on the air. Share your stories with me. And I'm just so grateful if you take the time and let me know what you think about the show, and let me know what would make it really special for you, or what kind of topics you'd like me to present, the subjects you'd like me to talk about. Make sure you take the time about it to let me know if you've gotten some benefit from the show like that. I've also, as I said, I've got a lot of safety tips, and I thought I'd give you a few safety tips that might be of interest to you on if you're a survivor of sexual assault. And I've been giving them out on the last couple of shows, but sometimes even looking at these pictures, like what the children were taking, and the kids were taking, not really children, certainly to them they weren't children, but some of these tips can sometimes, looking at pictures like this, can cause flashbacks. So if you have a flashback, hold on to something, maybe a table or a friend. Take a deep breath, exhale slowly, focus on what's going on around you that you can see and touch, and deep breathe until you feel better. Flashbacks are caused by triggers, so it's going to be somewhat undeniable. If you can identify some of those triggers, also eliminating the ones that will help you, you can eliminate what will keep that flashback from recurring. So deep breathing, triggers, and one of the best way to identify the triggers is by just making a little written note as to what caused that flashback. Also, nightmares. These triggers and these pictures can bring up nightmares. And one of the biggest tricks with a nightmare is wake yourself up. And you can do it. And you keep that in your consciousness before you go to sleep and wake yourself up. And you can rearrange the dream. Like if you're dreaming about a situation where you want to run and you can't run, picture yourself running. If you picture yourself in a fight or an assault situation, you're losing. Turn it around when you wake up, win that fight. Well, anyway, that's a wrap for today. Until next week, I encourage you to use the knowledge you got from this show to live your life fully and safely. Next week, we're going to be talking more about abusive relationships and what to do until this world does become free of dating and sexual violence. You are not going to want to miss this show. In fact, it'd be a crime not to listen. So stay tuned and stay safe.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend.